Hi, everyone, and Ramadan Mubarak to all of you. Thanks so much for joining us today, and really very, very excited to kick off the month of Ramadan with this first ever virtual super meetup across the MENA and Asia region. It's an absolute privilege to be here surrounded by so many great minds, colleagues, partners, members of the media, and Binance's community as we celebrate and look ahead at what's to come for Binance and our industry, both in this region and globally. Now, this super meetup is very much a testament to the increasingly important role that we see MENA and Asia playing in the crypto ecosystem. In part, thanks to the regional government's aims to foster innovation and economic competitiveness, we see this super meetup as the beginning of really an exciting and celebratory month that's to come. So this kicks off Binance's 14 Days of Ramadan campaign, and we're extremely excited to kick it off with a curated activities, special promotions, and lots of community fun. So we're really excited to have you all join us over the next 14 days. Get ready to exchange with kindness. Now, before we kick off, I'd like to call out some of the brilliant people that'll be joining us today for the next hour and a half. We've got our very own global CEO, CZ, as many of you know him, who will be joining us shortly for an exciting AMA, Ask Me Anything, along with Richard Tang, our regional head of Europe and MENA, and Gleb Kosterev, our regional head of Asia. And then followed very excitingly by Meir Kamat, our head of product, who will be announcing some new features that Binance will be launching soon. There are many reasons that are bringing us here today. The Web3 market is rapidly developing in MENA and Asia, and will soon become home to many of the growing global hubs for investors in digital assets. Now, at the same time, residents in this region have become steadfast early adopters of crypto assets, and it's really fantastic to see that we can play a part in addressing the local population's interests to be on the cutting edge of financial innovation. Now at Binance, we're all very, very excited to be among some of the first movers and grateful to be playing a big part in this space and have the opportunity to ride the growth wave. We've packed for you a really exciting agenda, and I just wanted to go through some of that programming for you today. So we're going to have a 25-minute fireside chat with Richard and Gleb, who I'll introduce in just a moment. Then we're going to move on to a 30-minute AMA, Ask Me Anything, rapid fire questions with CZ. And then at 5, we're going to start with Meir, who will be announcing new features and products, and then swiftly along to an exciting live quiz. Now, just a reminder for those of you that are tuning in on YouTube, please ensure that you do tune into Binance Live if you want to participate in the live quiz for a chance to win $3 in USDT rewards for a total pool of $6,000 in USDT. So with that, I'd love to kick off our programming. As I mentioned, we're really, really excited to kick off our super meetup with a fireside chat with Richard Tang, who I mentioned is the regional head of Binance for Europe and MENA, and Gleb Kosterev, our regional head of Asia. Before we kick off, I'd love to just give you a little bit of background about them because they're incredible leaders who really work with us across our business in Binance. So Richard is an experienced executive with over 3 decades of financial services and regulatory experience. He leads the teams to secure strategic partnerships, foster an ecosystem of innovation, and expand the regional cryptocurrency ecosystem. Prior to joining Binance, Richard was the CEO of the Financial Services Regulatory Authority, that's a mouthful, and Abu Dhabi Global Market, ADGM, where he showcased his capabilities as one of the world's foremost innovative regulators. Gleb is the regional head of Asia, has extensive experience in marketing, operations, and team managing, and now leads the Asia market at Binance. He's a big advocate of innovations in the crypto industry, namely NFTs. Prior to Binance, he was part of a well-known cryptocurrency and financial companies, including the audit and consulting corporation, EY, and the Ernst & Young, sorry. So with that, I welcome Richard and Gleb for the fireside chat, and I'd love to just kick off our time together and over to Richard. So Richard, I wanted to just take this time to use this as an opportunity for reflection. It's been a big year for not just in cryptocurrency in the industry, but also across the region. And so I wanted to really spend time thinking and hearing from you, or what are the achievements you're most proud of within MENA?
Oh, thanks for that, Joanna. So first of all, to those listening, pardon my voice. I'm losing my voice for the last few days, but I'll try my best. First, Ramadan Kareem. May all the happiness be with you during this very blessed month of Ramadan. Going back to your question, I think there are 3 key areas that we have done extremely well. and we're very proud of in the MENA region. Firstly is the users and community. So despite a global crypto downturn last year, we saw strong growth in the number of users and community in MENA, and it's one of the few regions that registered very strong growth globally. So that is due to your effort, and thank you so much for your support. Do continue to support us continuously. Second part is really we work very closely with the corporate partners to push out things like Binance Card, Binance Pay to support global crypto adoption. Right? So the second part of what we have done very, very successfully in the region is engagement with the regulators, with the government agencies. By now, we have more than 4 licenses in the region, in the MENA region, and that is almost all the regions, all the countries that give out licenses. So the first license we secured in Bahrain, followed by in Dubai, VARA, the MVP license, and we have 2 licenses in Abu Dhabi, including a fund management license for Binance Labs. So those are very effective engagement. We do work very closely with other government agencies and regulators that wish to formulate their crypto framework, and we have excellent relationship with them to try to get them to support Web3 crypto adoption. The third area is talent and staffing. Right? So if you look at when I first started taking over the MENA region, that's probably a year back, November of 2021, we have about a handful of staff in MENA. Today, we have more than 800 people in the region. So there's exponential growth for us. But more importantly, we help to bring in a big ecosystem into the MENA region, right? Attracting Web3 talents, attracting developers into the region, supporting that, and together, we will then bring forth the movement on the blockchain and crypto ecosystem front.
Thank you, Richard. And as someone who's joined the company last year, I can be a massive testament to see how much there's been an investment, both in terms of talent, but also working hand in hand with regulators in the community to ensure that steadfast growth. Now, if we turn over to Gleb and we focus on a very similar question, but focused on across APAC and Asia specifically, what are you looking forward to accomplishing in 2023 across your markets?
Yeah, thanks, Joanne. So in terms of APAC, I would say that it's a very important market for us. And in APAC, we see very vibrant community and young population with pretty high penetration of technologies and pretty big interest to the blockchain. So I would say that we would focus on a number of things this year, right? So last year we secured a number of licenses and we made a number of acquisitions. So for example, we acquired local licensed exchanges in Japan and Korea, right? So we will focus on bringing to our local customers some localized products and services, specifically in those jurisdictions where we secured licenses. Right. So we also work very closely with a number of different government agencies and with the legal enforcement agencies. So we will continue to keep very transparent and direct dialogue with regulators in order to find in order to help them to find right balance between regulation and between being loyal to crypto industry, right? And of course, we will definitely do more educational efforts in APAC region, right? We already started to communicate and have some, I would say, collaboration and cooperation with some of the universities, for example, in South Korea. So we'll continue to do that, and we'll continue to focus on bringing more adoption in APAC region, and especially nowadays when we see that there are some global issues with the financial industry. So I think this is why crypto will be very important as I would say as a financial tool in APAC and globally.
Thanks so much, Gleb. And you mentioned obviously working with regulators and looking towards markets that are licensed. And so, Richard, something that we have been really taking very much a leading effort on, but also think is critical for the industry as a whole is, proof of reserves. And we've harnessed a technology called ZK SNARKs, so zero knowledge SNARKs technology. How important is this for transparency in your mind and user confidence? Is it something that could be applied to traditional finance, as an example, example, and would just love your perspectives on that.
So in November last year, we released our first proof of reserve using the Miko-3 cryptography to allow users to verify their holdings. And then last month, we improved this further with ZK Snarks, which is a form of zero-knowledge proof, right? So user can check each account's total net balance to make sure it's non-negative, and that all users' assets are aggregated into Binance total net assets or user assets, right? So this is transformational. If you look at it, it only happens in the digital crypto space. Unfortunately, most of this technology are not available in traditional finance, right? So if you're looking at both banks and financial institutions, the usage of blockchain is still at its early stage. If you trade security, it's T+2, T+3 settlement, right? You bear trading and clearing risk. In blockchain itself is instant finality in most instances, right? So you eliminate that channel. So the utility part of that, the entire backbone of financial institutions are moving through in the next 10, 20 years. You'll see a lot of changes using blockchain, but they're still at the early stage of adoption in traditional financial institutions, right? And you probably can't check it in such a detailed way. You probably do not know how your funds are being used by the banks. I mean, the bank's business is taking deposit and lending to other people. They won't disclose to you who do I lend to, etc., etc. So the business model, firstly, is different, and the technology has not been adopted as much in traditional finance yet. So that will be challenging, and that's an improvement that we need to see in the future.
Yeah. And that's, a big part of, I think, what's drawing a lot of users and people that are working at Binance for quite some time, is this unique kind of perspective of how the technology can be harnessed in a way that, is additive to what is already out there in the financial ecosystem. So Gleb, you've been here at Binance for quite some time, and something that we all admire is the sense of community that exists within the Binance universe. Now, a core part of this time in Ramadan is community. And so as you think about the global Binance community, some would say it's quite unique. A lot of people are very passionate about the blockchain technology. What would you say is the secret to how we as an organization have built such a vibrant community that really is a huge credit to how this industry keeps thriving?
Yeah, I would say that Binance was always one of the most, user-focused and community-driven companies in the world. So we were always trying to be very close to our community. So it's always one of the biggest priorities for us to hear feedback from our community in terms of what they need, like what issues and problems they have, and how we can help them to resolve those issues. So I think this focus really helped Binance to become like a global company with a huge number of active users. And I would also mention that we have like Angels program that was launched years ago, and it is like pretty successful program within and it has like a lot of volunteers that are really helping us in terms of development and like promotion of our of our platform globally. And and having those like volunteers, having those angels, it is really helping us to be closer to our community, because a lot of feedback we hear from our angels. So we're always trying to be, I would say, very connected to our angels. And I would really want to thank all our angels that we have for their like huge support that they provide to us. Yeah, and another thing that I would mention is BNB Chain, right? So initially, Binance community provided a lot of support to BNB Chain, and right now BNB Chain, it is like I would say pretty decentralized and independent, project that has like its own like independent team that is also trying to be very very close to the community.
Yeah, and it is the huge effort from the community that keeps thriving our work. and drawing in experts like Richard into the mix. Richard, I want to pick up on your experience, both having been a regulator and now running a really exciting set of regions, specifically MENA. We do see a lot of the governments across this region adopting Web3 and blockchain regulation and really leading the charge in a lot of ways, both in terms of dialogue and adoption. Why do you think that is? What do you think ideal regulations should look like?
Well, I do think that first, let me applaud the efforts of the MENA governments and regulators to embrace crypto and crypto regulations. They can see the future. Web3 is being embraced by the young crowd, by young demographics, and this is the way for the future. And this is the way to go to continue to develop this industry, embrace young talent, which in turn provide a dynamic boost for the economy. So I think that's one part. But if you ask what does ideal regulations looks like, I would say that take a step back. Today, only 1/3 of global regulators are regulating this space. 2/3 are not regulating. Of the 1/3 that's regulating, some regulate as security, some as commodity, others digital payment tokens, virtual assets, etc. It is challenging for a global platform like ours, right? Even though now we have the most licenses globally and most regulated globally among the platforms, it is challenging. So what we hope to see is firstly harmonization of standards, so that you have one set of global standards where we can go to and comply with and operate globally. I think that that's ideal. The second part is clear regulations. I do not think that in the industry, people are looking for lax regulations, but people are looking for clear regulations. As long as you have clear regulations, we know how to comply. But when rules are drafted in a very ambiguous manner, it should be construed against the drafter, because you have every opportunity to put those rules clear and concise and set out what you actually want, right? But currently a lot of rules are ambiguous, and then it's up to the regulators to decide what exactly how do they wish to enforce it. It creates a lot of problems for the industry. And the third thing is you need regulators that are pro-growth. Right? Nowadays, regulators just look at one particular dimension, or many regulators, not all in the world. You have very, very good regulators in Asia Pac, Europe, and MENA region. But if it's a one-dimensional regulator, just looking at risk dimension, then you're not going to come up with good regulations, because those type of regulations will actually minimize activity to almost nothing, because it's only when nothing that there's no risk, right? Otherwise, as long as there's activity, there's going to be risk. How would you balance that mindset to make sure that it's risk proportionate, risk calibrated, you address all the risks, but at the same time support the growth of the ecosystem, the industry? Those are the good regulations and ideal regulations that we need in crypto.
Yeah, spot on. And it's also engaging with the social partners around the table to make sure that you're understanding the full value chain of what innovation can look like. Now, going from regulation and zooming out to the Web3 structures. So many countries across APAC Gleb are looking at Web3 as one of their economic pillars, mainly due to large gaming industries. Where do you see Binance fit into this, and how do you see the partnerships develop between the government and this industry?
If you speak about gaming industry, I think Binance can be a valuable player in terms of providing liquidity and helping good startups to raise capital. So, for example, we have Binance Launchpad, and we already had a number of gaming projects that raise capital through that platform. And another thing is our BNB Smart Chain. Right, so it is like a great blockchain that will allow gaming developers to launch their dApps with high speed and low fees. And if we speak broader about partnerships with the government and between the government and the industry, so there are a number of things that we are doing into that in that direction, right? So first of all, as I mentioned before, we are collaborating a lot, with the regulatory agencies and legal enforcement agencies. So, for example, recently we collaborated with the Philippines Cybercrime Investigation Center, and also we collaborated with the Hong Kong police force. So also we're doing a lot in terms of education. right? Just like last year, we provided more than more than 60,000 of scholarships globally, and we will continue to work closely with the universities, making different workshops and providing help to the younger generation in terms of like Web3 education, right? And I can also mention that, for example, in Australia, so our Binance charity, our charity arm, so they donated more than $300,000 to the University of West Australia. So like summing up, I would say that yeah, there are a lot of like different areas where we're trying to be like proactive, right? Communication with regulators, educational efforts, and of course support for the developers, especially in the gaming area.
Yeah, thanks, Gleb. And Richard, Gleb just touched very acutely on the area around cybercrime, law enforcement investigations, and it's a critical part of ensuring the trust and security of any of the industry players. And so when we think about trust and security, paramount to both Binance and the industry, really, where do you think Binance stands out in terms of security practices? I'd love for you to just give our community more of an explainer on how customers can really think about protecting themselves against fraud and or market volatility, and how you think about that when it comes to the community at large.
At Binance, we take that very, very seriously. I think first and foremost, security is an important issue. We will play our role, but we need users to play that role as well, right? So in terms of things like, I think Gleb has also mentioned this, in terms of scams and fraud in the industry, we work with global law enforcement agencies. Within the financial crime unit in Binance, we have the who's now globally that joined us previously, right? So previously, we have people working in places like Interpol, Europol, FBI, etc. So we take that very seriously. We have set up a 1 billion SAFU fund, Safe Asset for User Fund, just to protect users in the untoward event where there's a sort of security breach that could be attributable to us, etc. But it's very important that users understand that they play a very important role. How do you keep all your passwords, etc.? Very, very basic things. We do have things like if you want to trade margin products, we go the extra step. You mentioned about market volatility. We go the extra step to make sure that our users go through quiz to make sure they understand the basic functions of the product. They know what sort of risk they're getting into before they embark on those products, right? So this is part of our effort. But it's a collective effort. We can't do our part well if users don't do their part well. So it is an important issue, and it's a collective effort by both of us.
Great. I know we're getting close to time when we have the AMA coming up, but I'd still like to have a couple more questions to go. So for both of you, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you see a world using blockchain technology on a daily basis can actually look like. Let's start with Gleb and go to Richard after that.
Sure. I think right now blockchain as a technology is pretty complex, right? You need to keep your like seed phrase, right? You should understand like how it is working. You need to like approve transactions, right? So I think that like going forward, and in order to drive more crypto adoption, it will be really necessary to make the technology easier for everyone. So I think like in the future, most likely a lot of people, they will use different services and products that will be based on blockchain, but they wouldn't even know that there is like blockchain, right? Right now, the same with internet, right? Right now, we are not discussing a lot how internet as a protocol is working, right? We just use it, and we have like a lot of services and products that are like based on internet, right? So I think the same will happen with the blockchain and Web3 industry.
Yeah, same for me. So if you look at blockchain is a technology. You continue to evolve in a fast-moving manner, right? So if you look at, people talk about ChatGPT now, right? So if you look at AI has been around for a while, but how it evolved will continue to bring new use cases, how the internet continue to evolve. And same for blockchain. depending on the time frame you're looking at, you will not notice it's there. It's going to be used for everything, especially in terms of mid and back office as well as front office functions, right? Within most of the firms, right? Your accounting, you don't need to do reconciliation anymore, right? When you order goods and supplies, you know that it's properly tracked. You get it. In terms of payment services, it's instantaneous, right? You don't get your funds stuck for 2 days in transit. Those things will change quite rapidly. And then you'll see blockchain being used for engagement with users, right? So the entire Web3 ecosystem is built on effective engagement with users. Web2 is the power rests very much with the infrastructure providers and servers, and Web3, the ability to bring that about to allow a fairer allocation of benefits between the provider and the users will bring great benefit, and the usage of blockchain will facilitate that.
Yeah. And then just Gleb, a really quick one. There's been, Richard just mentioned, Web3 education. And so there's been quite a lot of education events that we've done across MENA and APAC. Why do you think Web3 education is so important? And why are we seeing so much demand for it?
Yeah, so Web3 will probably make a revolution in a lot of different industries, right? Like finance, gaming, and some others. So, but at the same time, as I mentioned, it's pretty complex technology. So, there's pretty high level of, of entrance for developers, right? So this is why it's really important to give like proper tools, content, and knowledge to all those developers that will build different products, in Web3 area. So this is why we have our Binance Academy, a great like free website that you can like go and you can read different number of of content, right? It can be like from what is blockchain, and they can be more complex, topics such as like what's front running, for example. So this is why it's really important to give all those like tools to developers, and have all those and have such different websites with free content such as Binance Academy. So I would say that given that there is more and more interest from Web2 companies in Web3 area, the demand will continue to grow. So yeah, we should we as an industry should definitely focus on more education.
Absolutely. I for one have spent lots of time on Binance Academy and learning everything, as you've said, from the most basic concepts to the most complicated. So in the last couple of minutes, just one last question for both of you. What's the one piece of advice you would give for newcomers entering the space? Richard, why don't you get us started on that?
Do your own research. Use Binance Academy. Because if you look at where we are today in terms of crypto adoption, we're at a very, very early stage, right? So 4 to 5% crypto adoption. You compare to 1998 for internet age. At that point in time, you have 7% adoption for internet. So we're at the earliest stage of development for crypto compared to 1998 for internet. So you're going to see a lot more new use cases coming through, a lot more new developments. Stay abreast of those developments through education. There are no shortcuts, right? Do a lot of your own research. Don't just rely on what you hear from other people. That's the most important, in my view.
And Gleb?
Yeah, and I would add that you should definitely think about security, right? I would say don't trust just one product, don't trust one exchange, one wallet, right? You should like make diversification of your funds. You should really think, where you keep your funds, what security tools are you using, right? Even if you use if you use like exchanges, right? You should definitely ensure that you have like different types of authorization, and you should ensure that nobody will have like access to your account, only you. So I would definitely recommend to invest more time into how you can keep your funds securely.
Okay, I'm going to be greedy because I think the audience would want to know. One last question. Richard and Gleb, why did you both make the decision to join Binance?
To me, this is the future, and I want an exciting future. Every day is you have new interesting things developing, and it's great to be here.
Yeah, for me, I saw that like blockchain and Web3 industry is very fast growing and very vibrant. I think all the major innovations are happening here right now. So, and it's very like, I would say it's very exciting to be on the edge of this tech and financial revolution.
Fantastic. That's really great. Thank you so much for your time. Maybe just to sum up a lot of what we've heard today, we've got a fantastic opportunity for us to make sure that we are engaging the community as much as possible. This is an incredibly quiet, exciting region where we're seeing tremendous growth, a tremendous community that's deeply engaged. But we hope that we are always going to continue to be partners in this ecosystem, doing as much as we can with Web3 education, law enforcement education, and continuing improving our services. So over to now the next session. So thank you, Richard. Thank you, Gleb. It was really a great chat, and I deeply enjoyed it. Now I'm going to hand over to Alex for CZ's AMA, followed by some rapid-fire questions.
All right, I think we're live. Hi, CZ.
Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Well, okay, great. So first of all, Ramadan Kareem, and thanks for taking part in this special AMA and everyone listening as well. So we're going to do 3 rounds. We're going to start off with a few questions on the theme of Ramadan. Then we're going to move into some community questions and then quick fire round if we have time afterwards.
Sure.
So CZ, we're going to kick things off. You obviously visit the Middle East region quite a lot, and I believe that you're there now as well. What have you found most inspiring about the predominantly Muslim culture over there?
Well, I'm not just visiting, so I'm based here now. So this is my base. I fly back, dump my dirty clothes, and get new ones, and fly out. So what I find is the Muslim or the Middle East regions, they're quite often misunderstood. The Western media portray them with a level of skepticism or narrative that's quite unfair, in my opinion. Kind of like how they treat crypto. I find that people here are very humble. They're very business driven. They're very reasonable, and they're very friendly. So I find this is one of the best places to do business in the world.
Awesome. Well, we'll get into the specifics of the MENA region regarding blockchain and crypto in a little bit. But yeah, sticking to the theme of Ramadan, obviously Binance does a lot of charity work and a lot of education work as well. So I'd love to hear your perspective around how important is it for Binance as a business to be giving back through Binance charity and through Web3 education? Yeah,
so first of all, I think education is super, super important. I think education is the best way to increase adoption. When people learn about the new technology properly and they come in to learn about the risks, the rewards, what the technology can do, that's the best way for adoption, for proper adoption. And then education is also the best tool for user protection. When users learn about the risks, learns about how to protect themselves, then that's better than security and instant risk management. And education is also the best charity. When you teach somebody to fish, you help them for life instead of just giving them direct money. But education is long term. There are times where we do need our charity effort to ramp up. Like for example, when there's an earthquake in Turkey, when there's a war going on in Ukraine, we need to deploy funds very quickly, and people need immediate help. So we do think that, and also those people will be very thankful for crypto. They will not be shaped by negative narratives in the media, etc. So I think all of those things are both very important, and they all are very much in line with Ramadan, etc.
Awesome. And then if we look at education from a different angle, I know Binance puts in a lot of effort to try and educate industry players as well with things like the policy paper that was recently published, that sort of thing. So can you talk about what do you think are some of the best practices that the industry can adopt to help drive Web3 adoption?
Yeah, so, well, there's quite a few different things there. I think the number one thing on top of my head would be to focus on utility and not the price. So too many people talk about price. They are, anytime this price moves up 1%, down 1%, there's a lot of discussions on Twitter, on the news media channels, etc. Which price will be volatile unless you're like, quite a lot of people are day traders, but unless you're a day trader, you shouldn't be too worried about price. We as an industry should focus on building utility, basically products people use. Also, the industry, given that it's a decentralized industry, is sometimes divided. We see a lot of infighting within the industry. People fighting for market shares within the very small adoption curve right now. But it's much better to work together to grow the industry. And also we also see some backstabbing within the industry, like guys telling other people bad things about other industry players. Those things are what hurts one player usually hurts everybody else, and hurts the industry and hurts themselves. So I think that's anybody doing that should stop. We should also adopt a global view. Many people only look at their own little market, well, not little, their own home market, but we're living in a small world and everything impacts everything else globally. So we should have a global view. And lastly, I think we need to work very closely with regulators. In our industry, there's a view that we want to get away from governments, from regulators, etc. That's not the best approach, in my opinion. We need to make incremental innovations, incremental approaches, and we need to make sure the regulators are comfortable with us. So I think all of those things are extremely important. There's many more, though. Yeah.
Okay, and then if we take that a step further, so obviously some governments, some traditional finance companies are crypto friendly, while others are potentially having a harder time accepting a new technology or are slightly slower on the curve. What do you think needs to be done to bridge traditional finance and the blockchain and crypto world?
I think the most important thing is actually to teach the TradFi players the benefits of using blockchain technologies. You can significantly help them lower their costs and make their businesses more efficient, and in turn make them more competitive. Today, if you wire, I don't know, like $500 internationally through a bank, you probably lose $50 in the process through fees. Whereas if the banks adopted a blockchain technology, that fee comes down very, very quickly, and they also need less humans involved in that transaction. So again, less cost. I think the TradFi players that adopt this technology first will see tremendous rewards. So we need to use this technology to make TradFi more successful, more competitive. And then we need to integrate TradFi together with blockchain crypto. And there's already like hundreds of millions of users in crypto now. We see that the early TradFi adopters into crypto gets the rewards of having access to hundreds of millions of users. So, and the guys who doesn't do that will be left behind. So that's really the trade-off.
Right, that makes sense. And I know you had a tweet on the comparison between blockchain and TradFi fees recently that did pretty well. So I'm going to put you on a spot here a little bit. Do you have any interesting examples of times when you or a member of the team has managed to bring and educate a traditional finance player and work with us in crypto?
Absolutely. So, I mean, there are multiple different examples. There are bank CEOs who, after talking to me, got a Binance account and started using crypto. And they've been hearing that from their kids for a while, and they just never got to it. So that has happened. Also, when I walk into a bank wanting to talk about banking collaborations, etc., even when the bank does not work with crypto yet, all the bank executives use Binance.com. So that's also a pretty interesting experience. This happened in UAE. So there's many of those examples, which are quite interesting.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that leads on nicely to the next question. So countries in the MENA region seem to be particularly forward-thinking when it comes to blockchain and new financial technology. What's your view of the crypto communities that are growing across MENA? And then add on to that, where do you think Binance will be going next?
Sure. So I think, the MENA region, they are very business driven. They have very strong leadership. The leaders are very forward thinking. They understand they cannot rely on oil forever, and they need to build new industries. They're building tourism, real estate industries, but fintech industry is one of the most obvious, the highest potential one to build. So, and we see them welcoming new blockchain technologies, new crypto startups, etc. I think a year and a half ago, when I first came to Dubai, there may be half a dozen crypto companies here. Today, there's probably more than 700 crypto companies in the last year and a half. We also see other cities like Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, and other places in the region growing very quickly as well. So I think this is one of the best places to be. But as I said, we got to have a global view. Blockchain doesn't work if it's only one node. So we need a network all around the world. So there are many different places. Well, so I've been spending quite a lot of time in Africa this year and last year. Africa actually has low revenues for our business, but it has huge potential longer term. Because of the population and because they don't have access to banking. They're kind of financially excluded right now. We're trying to give them financial access. So there's many different regions. I can go on for a long time, but for the MENA region, it is already quite a good environment for blockchain businesses. I do implore everyone who's not in the MENA region to come and have a look.
Okay, excellent. And then final question before we get on to the ones from the community. So this was also asked to Richard and Gleb in the previous session. What do you know now that you wish you had known when you were starting out in crypto?
Well, with hindsight, there's a lot of things we would do differently. I think I probably would have wanted to come to MENA region earlier. We probably should have engaged with the regulators globally a lot earlier. More educational efforts earlier. I probably should have learned Arabic earlier, etc. So all of those things with hindsight is much easier. But we knew what we knew at the time, and we make the best decisions we think at the time, and just keep moving forward.
So do you consider yourself an Arabic speaker now?
No, absolutely not. Arabic is such a tough language, and yeah, I haven't got through the alphabet yet.
Okay, maybe next year. So. Community questions. So a couple of them were from multiple people. So we'll start off with those ones first. So are you fasting this Ramadan, or do you do iftar?
I don't religiously fast like the Ramadan style. I try to do fasting, like 24-hour fasting every Monday or Tuesday, once a week or so. But I'm not very, very religious on that as well. So I'm not a pure religious faster. Yeah. Okay.
And then, so as you would expect, a lot of questions around stablecoins regarding BUSD and the like. So maybe you can touch on that broadly. I'll just sum it up with, is Binance considering other stablecoins to be a replacement for BUSD, or considering a BUSD version 2.0?
Yeah, so BUSD is issued by Paxos, and now I believe they were instructed by the NYDFS, their regulator, no more minting, and that's it. So the BUSD is not going to increase in circulating supply. The existing BUSDs are safe. They are one-to-one backed, and the redemption is smooth. So, but I don't see that growing. Well, you can't grow anymore unless the regulator reverse their decisions. So, and we don't want to confuse users by calling something new BUSD. So BUSD was slowly sunset. So that's BUSD. But we are working with multiple other stablecoins partners, and some of them are US dollar based. Many of them are not US dollar based. Many of them are not even fiat backed. So we are working on multiple options, and TUSD is one of those examples. We recently launched a campaign on zero fee trading with BTC on TUSD. So hoping to grow the market share, the market cap of TUSD a bit more, so that it has higher liquidity. And there's many other options we're working with.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that broadly answers the question. So then moving on, we had one from Alt Crypto Gems. How do you plan on staying the biggest? We've seen with tech companies where within a few years they become huge, but then they fall off. So how do you make sure that doesn't happen with Binance?
I think the goal is the goal shouldn't be, we want to be the biggest. That's the wrong goal. I think we just happen to be the biggest because whatever people should choose to use our products and services. And also, we're not the biggest company in the world. Google is probably 100 times bigger than us. The revenue is probably definitely 100 times bigger than us. So we're not by far the biggest in any means. But being big or small is not an issue for me personally, or I think for us, for our team. I think we're gonna figure out what do we do best and just do that thing well. So if we can build a stable, safe platform for people to exchange assets and provide a marketplace for people to access liquidity, that's what we do best, and we just do our best, and we are who we are. We are as big as we are. Somebody does that better, or somebody does that slightly more differently, they become bigger. That's that. We can try to learn from them. We can try to improve. But for example, if another industry comes, AI comes, they become a bigger industry, that's fine. We're not going to switch to AI. Space exploration comes, that becomes a big industry. We're not going to suddenly switch to that. That's not our core expertise. So, and Internet 2, Web 2 is still bigger than Web 3 now, but we're focused on Web 3. So our goal is not to be the biggest or to maximize profits or stuff like that. It's just to do what we do well and be sustainable, be sustainable, and provide value to our users.
Got it. And then, so this question from Champion Bilal goes on nicely from the back of that. So how does Binance see blockchain technology evolving over the next decade? And then how is the company positioning itself to remain at the forefront of this evolution?
Yeah, so I think this is a good question. I do think in a decade or so, in 10 years is usually a time frame that's long enough for us to underestimate the level of change. I think in 10 years, DeFi is going to be bigger than CeFi. So the DeFi DEXs are going to be bigger than centralized exchanges. And the way we want to position ourselves, we want to invest very heavily in those fronts. So we invest in other projects. We have our own little teams working on different solutions. We just got to continue to invest in innovation. And we should always want to disrupt ourselves. I think if we have the mindset that we want to be protective of our existing platform or products, then we will get disrupted by other people. So we want to continue to disrupt ourselves.
Okay, and then so we had a good question from Sina Estavi asking if you could discuss the topic of bridges during the AMA. I'm assuming they were talking about crypto bridges and not physical bridges. So perhaps you could go into a bit of detail there around what you think some of the benefits, opportunities, and potential risks are of decentralized bridges.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, in a decentralized world, anybody can fork a blockchain, create a new one, build their own application. So I don't see anytime soon that there's one single blockchain that rules them all. I think we'll see thousands of blockchains and probably millions of tokens. And so the bridges between them are extremely important. Right now, we have a centralized exchange, which kind of acts as like the main bridge, to be honest, for people to trade in and out of different coins. And Binance.com is probably the biggest bridge in the world today. But as the new technologies allow decentralized on-chain bridges to work well, those bridges are extremely important. So having those are extremely useful. And also, I also think that most of the innovations happen at the boundaries of, at the intersections of two different systems or technologies or ecosystems. So building bridges are usually highly rewarded financially as well. There's some really interesting business models that usually come through that. Usually things people don't expect. So I think bridges are quite important and quite interesting.
Okay, and then let's talk about a different kind of bridge. So from fiat to crypto. So Crypto Alert 365 was asking about a global solution to on and off ramp fiat to the crypto ecosystem. And they're asking, is Binance exploring the possibility of a Binance Bank or a similar in-house solution that rather than relying on third-party agreements? So quite a question there, but yeah, let's see what you got.
Yeah, so the question is quite simple. Like, let's have a global fiat on and off ramp that works everywhere. Great. But the reality is not that simple. The reality is when you talk about a global solution on fiat, there are so many different variations in different countries. For example, some countries had very good fiat banking API access until recently, US, right? So Signature Bank had very good access, Silvergate, etc. But they shut that down. So we lost that access. There are other countries who don't have that level of access even before. There are also payment service providers. There's a lot of requests or suggestions. Why don't Binance buy or run a bank? I think that question is being asked a lot. But buying a bank doesn't solve all problems globally. There are very few banks that operate globally. And you need corresponding banks in different places. And each bank, well, you can have multiple banks in different countries, but each bank have their own regulators. And some of the regulators don't allow, some local central banks in their countries don't allow banks to work with crypto businesses. I think Nigeria is one of those examples, and there's many more. And so there are countries that allow banks to work with crypto exchanges, and that's great. And in places where the banks don't work with crypto exchanges or businesses, peer-to-peer trading kind of flourish. So people just sell between themselves, and you can't have a platform like Binance facilitate part of the transaction, usually escrow the crypto part to make sure the transaction is done properly, done successfully. and we also help remediate dispute resolutions. So we give a level of guarantee or safety to the transaction. And then we also work with payment rails, payment service providers, credit cards, both in and out. You can buy crypto with credit card, and then you can also swipe a credit card to spend your crypto directly. So there are many different types of fiat on and off ramps, and there's no global solution today. And also buying a bank doesn't solve the problem. It's not that simple. Buying a bank, banks are highly regulated, which basically means they are highly molded businesses. You have to operate in a very certain way. There's almost zero innovation. Even when they talk about digital banks, there's very little innovation. You're forced to lend customer money to make money, and you're forced into the old business model of not one-to-one depository reserve system. We are exploring. So having said all of that, we are exploring all of those options in everywhere. So we are talking with different regulatory bodies about applying for banking licenses, buying banks, also operating full depository banks, like so one-to-one reserve, no lending. It's just a transaction fee model banks, or payment service providers, or working with credit cards. So we're exploring all of those fronts. We have a pretty large team that we have hundreds of people working on this initiatives. So just because we lose some banking channels in some place doesn't mean we lose them globally. So, but there's no single global solution on and off ramp. Each country is different. So, but that also gives Binance an edge. We are large enough that we have the resources to work on different solutions globally as a single platform. That give our users the best liquidity and the best prices and best access. So we are doing all of that, but it's a very long, detailed topic.
Right, that makes sense. Well, thanks for going into such detail there, because I know that is a popular question. So we'll just finish up with a couple more community questions, and we'll go on to the quick fire round. So Apex ML6 was pointing out that companies that issue fiat gift cards often have problems with fraud and scams. So they were curious, what measures does Binance take to be able to try and prevent fraud and scams around our gift card product?
Yeah, so well, there's so many different types of scams. I'm not sure what type of scam the question is referring to, but whenever you have a financial product, there's always people trying to scam because if they are successful, then they get money. So fighting scam is always very important. I think there's a few different levels. First is authentication, whether the gift card is authentic. Is it being used already? Is it a used card or is it a new card? Does it have money on it? With the Binance cards, it's quite easy to verify. There's a public QR code, which is easy to verify if there's balance and if it's used or not. We can also further improve that using blockchain NFT technologies. The technology is made for this purpose. So that solves that verification problem. And then the other, I'm not sure, the other scams involving typically large data analysis to detect fraud, etc. Those we also have big data teams to do AI analysis on those data. There's a lot of different aspects to this. So yeah, but blockchain is designed to make this much, much easier than using traditional, what we call TradFi technologies.
Great. And then final question, it looks like everyone wants you to get your crystal ball out today. Last time it was 10 years, this time it's 5 years. So CZ, in your opinion, what do you think Web3 will look like in 5 years' time?
I mean, like predicting the future is so hard, especially like short-term future. I think given the current, like even like say if we asked me to predict 2 weeks ago, I would have said something different. But now, given what's happening in the last 2 weeks, I think we're already seeing a lot of people losing confidence in the banking system. So I think we're seeing accelerated adoption of blockchain crypto technologies, both in traditional finance systems and also in pure what we call crypto industries. But specifically what it looks like, it depends on entrepreneurs. So if one entrepreneur comes and build a successful P2P platform or build a DEX or build a flying car, then the world will change because of that guy's innovation. And before that guy built it, even when he has a business plan and idea, he may or may not know that he will be successful. So yeah, I mean, we can't really predict the future very precisely, but what we can see is technology innovation does not stop. You cannot erase or backtrack concepts in people's minds, right? Hundreds of millions of people understand the blockchain concept. What we're seeing is more and more users coming in. There's more and more projects. They're building more and more use cases. There's more utility, and there's more users. So as the users come in, most crypto are limited supply. So the demand will go up. That's all we see. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then, yeah, moving on to the quickfire section. So in this one, I've just got a list of 2 different categories, and you just shout out whichever one comes to mind fastest. I don't think we're going to unveil any deep insights here, but hopefully it'll be a little bit of fun. So starting off, morning or evening?
I used to be an evening person, but now I'm more of a morning person. Also depends on jet lag or which city.
The Matrix or 300?
Metrics more. Yeah.
All right.
300 is a bit too much fighting. Metrics is more tech. Yeah.
Fair
I've
enough.
watched Metrics 10 times.
Wow. Tweeting or meeting?
I usually do both at the same time.
Have you sent any tweets while we're talking today?
Not right now. Like this is a pretty high intensity interactions. But if I'm on call, sometimes when I don't talk, I just tweet and people see it.
Okay. McDonald's or fine dining?
Definitely quick meals. Maybe not McDonald's anymore. I ate so much of it before, but definitely quick meals over fine dining.
Okay. Gucci or Binance swag?
Oh, definitely Binance swag. I don't think I ever had any luxury brands in my life. Not very much.
Physical books or audiobooks?
Audiobooks, much easier to listen.
Are you pretty much exclusively audiobooks, or do you do both?
I still do both a little bit, but listening is easier when I can be listening to a book when I'm in a car, walking through airports, on an airplane. Reading, you have to sit there and be very focused. So I do a lot more listening.
Okay, makes sense. Building or snowboarding?
Ooh, the best would be to snowboard in the morning for 2 hours, which that's how much energy I have anyway, and then do calls for the rest of the day.
Okay, and
I did that for a week. I did that for a week earlier, last 2 months ago or so. Worked out great.
But we should clarify that video that was tweeted yesterday wasn't you doing all the backflips on the snowboard.
No, that was not me. I wish I could do that.
Okay, short term or long term?
Definitely long term. I think short term gains are a distraction to long term bigger gains.
Cool. Planes or trains?
Definitely planes more. I don't think I've seen a train for a while.
All right. Beach or mountain?
I think I'm more of a beach guy, just on top of my head. Yeah.
Okay, and then final one, the journey or the destination?
Oh, definitely the journey. I think there's no destination. If there was a destination, I probably would have stopped, a few years ago. But it's the journey that counts.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time today, CZ. Really appreciate your insights. We hope everyone listening's enjoyed the AMA, and we wish our Muslim community around the world a very joyous Ramadan Kareem. So now I'll hand back over to Joanne to continue our program. But yeah, CZ, any last words?
No, thanks, guys. You guys keep going.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much, Alex. Thanks, CZ. Always such a great and exciting session listening to CZ AMA. Lots of transparent insights, especially knowing that he can snowboard in the morning and do calls at night. And also, we're all very lucky to be part of this journey because it's tremendously exciting to see where the industry is headed. Now, before we get on to the next session, I just want to remind everyone to stay tuned for a live quiz that'll come up later. The live chat for that quiz will be where you'll be able to submit your answers. We'll open up right before the quiz starts, so don't worry that you haven't seen that live chat pop up just yet. Now on to a really exciting session that I'm very eager to listen to all the details about is with Meir Kamat. He's our head of product at Binance for some really exciting product and feature announcements that are going to be coming up in his session. Meir leads every aspect of the company's product strategy, roadmap, and development. He guides the team to build products that will really hopefully create mass adoption to crypto and lower the barriers to entry for the Web3 technology. Now, Meir brings to Binance nearly 20 years of experience in tech and product. Hey, Meir. And previously, he was the VP of product at Agoda, where he was in charge of the company's supply, finance, and marketplace products. So I will stop talking because I know everyone's really excited to hear about your product and feature announcements. And over to you.
Thank you, Joanne. It's such a pleasure. First, for all our viewers, especially those who celebrate this holy month of Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem. Super excited to be in front of you to talk about Binance product. It's a privilege, as CZ said, for us to be working in this space that is providing financial inclusion to hopefully a billion people over the next few years. And the way we can do that is by building. So one of the things, CZ guidance to my team is very simple: keep building. Build stuff that our users want, build stuff that makes the journey to crypto a lot easier, and build stuff that kind of creates this ecosystem where a lot and more people, technologies, platforms can thrive and bring this our vision of financial inclusion to everyone in the world who needs it. And we've been doing that for the past 5.5 years. We started off as an exchange, very soon became the largest exchange, crypto exchange in the world. But that's just a very, very small portion of our product portfolio. Today, we have products for trading, for investing, for passive earning, for loans, for margin. We have advanced trading products with derivatives. We have a lot of products for connecting fiat on-ramp and off-ramp, as CZ was talking about, as well as new innovative products around NFTs and fan tokens. We have Binance Pay, which again facilitates the movement of money in a lot more simpler manner. And that's just the start, right? We are, as CZ says, in the first innings. Less than 10% of the people in the world are familiar or accessing crypto today. So the journey is a lot longer. And definitely with CZ in there, like the journey is what makes this experience amazing for all of us, because we get to do it with our community. Looking at the past, like we've been fairly fortunate, and it's largely because of our users who have trusted us with their time, their assets, and their usage, that we are now pretty much the largest exchange, no matter how you slice and dice it. But that's the past. What are we doing next? How are we going to make sure that the future of Binance and the future of crypto is as exciting and hopefully more exciting than what the past has been? So for the product team, we have like these basic principles. This is CZ's. If you've not read CZ's principles, he talks about how he operates and what principles guides the decisions he makes. For the product team, we have these 5 principles that we try and work that guides every decision that we make. We want to make things that are simple. If we want to get 1 billion people to use something, it needs to be very, very simple. Crypto is not there yet, which is probably why we are not at 1 billion user number. The simpler we can make things, the easier we can make onboarding, the more friction we can remove, the more adoption we will get. The second one is on trust and transparency. Our industry, just because we are so early, there's a lot of good players, but there are also a lot of bad players. So how do you differentiate between the good and bad, right? How can I and CZ and everybody on this call prove to you that you should be able to trust us? And we want to do that with our actions, and we want to do that with our product, right? So we want to build products like our proof of reserves, like our compliance products, like our KYC products, that gives you that level of trust and transparency, not just to the users, but also to the industry, to the regulators. We want to make sure that we build this ecosystem together and we can trust each other on it. The third pillar is innovation. We can just do the same thing. We can make it small better, but that's not going to change the world. To change the world, we need to do something big, and we need to do something that may fail at times. But if we don't have that desire and that drive to be able to do that, then somebody else will do it. I think Alex asked a very good question to CZ on how do you ensure you stay the biggest? And his answer was, okay, we don't want to be the biggest. But from a product standpoint, like we do want to have products that get massive adoption. And the only way we can do that is if we keep innovating, even if sometimes that innovation comes at the cost of cannibalizing our previous products. The second last one is fast, right? We want to do things fast. This industry changes very, very fast. You just seen in the last 2-3 weeks how the market has gone, the price volatility, but also the pace of innovation. And we want to make sure that Binance products are delivered to the users very, very quickly. And then when we know the users love our product, that's when we go deeper and build the substance behind it. And the last and probably the most important one is we build products for our community with our community. You guys are the ones that have made us where we are today. Without you, Binance wouldn't exist and definitely would not be the level of success that we have had. So we build products that make sure that our community's feedback, your pain points, your use cases, your desires, your use case of crypto is fulfilled through our products. One of the very recent examples we've launched is a user feedback tool, right? And this is a way for you to give us meaningful feedback directly to the product managers on how our product can be improved. And that's just one small facet. When you contact our customer support, when you tweet us on Twitter, when you engage with us on Telegram or any of our social channels, you will see CZ there, you will see E there, being engaging directly with our community. It's just a core part of how we do things. And that's one of the key pillars that guides product. So with that, let me just walk you guys through quickly some of the new things we have done in the last few weeks. We launched so many different products that it's kind of hard for me to summarize it, but I'm going to try my best. But the first one I want to call out is Binance Build. If you're on Twitter, follow the hashtag Binance Build. We launch a new feature every day. And that's just the pace of innovation. If you're not doing this every day, we are not being fast enough. So every day we will tweet something about some new improvement. Some of them might be small, some of them will be fairly large features, but this pace of innovation, we want to keep going. And the best way to keep up with that is Binance Build. I mentioned the user feedback tool, and we just launched a new version of it, which now lets you see the comments directly from the product managers. So if you have any feedback, you can enter your feedback, you can attach images, you can give us descriptions, you can vote on feedback given by other users, and now you will get direct responses from the product team telling you whether this feature is already existing, how can you, how your feedback has made us better. There will be some cases where we may not be able to address your feature request, but we will actually give you a reason on why that is the case. This feature is going to guide how we build products in the future. So if you have not used it and you have specific requests for the Binance product team, please search for the Binance user feedback tool. We listen and read to every single feedback that comes from this tool. I think Richard and Gleb very initially talked about our proof of reserve with ZK snarks. This is a fairly new and fairly innovative technology. In a privacy-friendly manner, we can now prove to our users whether your assets are in the Binance wallets as we say they are. This is probably, we're the first people in the industry, and we made this open source. So we encourage other players in the ecosystem to kind of follow our path and also publish their ZK snarks-based proof of reserve. Once we have the trust in the system, that's we can grow as an industry. And this is kind of one of our first steps in order to do that. But we're also an exchange. People love trading on Binance. We have a lot of different product for traders, and we just want to keep pushing that envelope. So we launched some very interesting trading tools. One came directly from my direct interaction with a customer. And he asked me specifically, like, why can't I just adjust my orders on the chart by drag and drop? And that was a great feedback. And the product team said, sure, we will do it. And that's live now, right? So it's a very cool way of adjusting your orders, directly interacting on the chart. Super cool way to trade. But we also have others that we launched recently, like the rebalancing bot that automatically adjusts your portfolio without you having to manually do it. KYC is something that's not super fun when we talk about fun products, but it is the most important thing for bringing 1 billion people to crypto. If you're not already in crypto, the only way you are now coming to crypto in a regulated manner is by doing a KYC. And KYC process can be fairly long and tedious, but we've spent a lot of time making it as simple as possible. In all the countries listed here, now we have one-click KYC solution that directly integrated with the government databases. So with a single login through your government ID, you can now finish your KYC without uploading any documents. It's a very, very seamless experience, and we want to keep adding more and more countries as this kind of capability becomes available globally. Binance Pay is one of my favorite products because a lot of people ask, like, what's the utility of crypto? How do I use it? And Binance Pay is one of the ways that bridges the gap between the Web3 world and the real world. One of the use cases that I'm personally very excited about is the remittances, right? CZ gave the example of transferring money, especially if you're an immigrant, you're sending money back every month to your family. almost 8-9% of that money just gets taken away by the system. And it takes days, and it is not fully fraud free. And that's especially for users who are earning fairly low levels of income, being able to lose that much of their money and time in just sending money back to their family. There has to be a better way. And Binance Pay is now enabling it with just seamless crypto-based transfers, as well as being able to offer them that money into fiat. It's a very seamless solution. I would encourage all of you guys to check it out. But Binance Pay is now also everywhere. They now have physical kiosks. They are in malls. They are in car dealerships. Just making your journey with crypto very, very seamless and just solving those everyday problems. You can keep your money in crypto now, live in the real world, and that translation or that transfer is now done seamlessly through Binance Pay. Very amazing. And the last one I want to talk about as far as previous products go, but also something I want to talk about in terms of what's coming next. It's Binance Tax. This is our latest launch. We launched just about a month ago in France and Canada. The early response has been amazing. And I think most common feature request we have gotten is, when are you launching in my country? When are you launching in my country? That's a challenge with launching it in 2 countries when you have customers in 200. So I'm super excited to announce that we will be launching this globally in the next couple of months. And again, that's going to be a fairly large initiative, but I'm super excited to bring this globally to all our users. So you can now, for free, be able to understand what your tax liabilities are and be able to satisfy them at a click of a button. So with that, I think let me transition into some of the stuff that's coming. So we have never done this before. We've never actually talked about what our future roadmap is. But again, as CZ mentioned, we want to be open. It's okay. We can talk about what's coming next. We're not here for the short term. We are here for the long term. So some of the cool new features that you can expect from Binance coming pretty soon. First one, if you're a trader, the DCA bot is, at least in my opinion, and I'm biased, a game changer. You can now just essentially have the strategy bot do all the hard lifting for you. You hear a lot about financial advice about how you dollar cost average, how you buy when things are going down over time, how you sell when they're going up. Again, not giving financial advice here, but if you are in that, now you will have a bot that does it for you, and you can automate it the way you want it. Coming fairly soon in the next couple of months, the strategy trading DCA bot. Picasso is also, again, it's just a unique product. We launched it as a trial 3 weeks ago, and we were just surprised at how many people loved the fact that you could create a generative image and mint it as an NFT. I think we sold out in an hour and a half. Our servers were melting with the amount of users. So we are excited that we are now going to be announcing it, the second round of Picasso, coming very, very soon, this time to a lot more users. And very soon, I think in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for Picasso V2. Doing multi-factor authentication when you're withdrawing your funds is never fun. It's super secure, right? We, as both Gleb and Richard mentioned, security is the cornerstone of how you interact with the financial institution. We do want to have multi-factor authentication, but it doesn't have to be cumbersome. It doesn't have to be you checking your email, then your phone, entering everything else, or picking out a hardware key. So we're making a lot of improvements in our biometrics-based product, which now let you use really secure and modern infrastructure like passkeys and Face ID to be able to authenticate these use cases, which are both more secure than passwords, more secure than SMS, and more seamless. So it's a win-win situation. And also making changes through most all of the interaction pages where users spend a lot of time. Your deposit page, we want to make sure that the process is seamless. You can save your addresses. You can scan QR codes instead of copy pasting addresses. Just a day-to-day interaction. How can we make it slightly more seamless to both deposit as well as receive funds from any of your. This one is something that we hear a lot. This is a #1 asked feature, is a profit and loss analysis. How good of a trader are you? Like, are you doing well? Are you getting better? Is your portfolio doing better? What can you learn from it? And what kind of education opportunities that can be recommended to make this experience even better? So a P&L analysis tool will be launching pretty soon that lets you just track how your portfolio is doing over time and be able to just learn and hopefully be a better trader through these tools that we are providing. And the last thing I want to talk about is games and campaigns. Our users love games. They love campaigns. The Bitcoin button last year was super popular. A lot of you participated and made it a huge success. But we have had several others, like the Wordle game, which is, again, driving a lot of engagement and a lot of fun for our users. And we have a lot more games coming up and a lot more campaigns. This both allows you to kind of bring new people into crypto, earn referrals, be able to earn free crypto through campaigns like Learn and Earn, but also play some fun games that are coming soon. The Ramadan campaign is already live, so if you haven't tried it out, please go check it out. But a lot more coming soon for people all around the world. With that, the last thing I want to leave you guys with is we want to build new products. We want to change the world. We want to create innovation, but we also want to do it in a manner that encourages adoption and trust, both with our users and our regulators. So some of the stuff that I didn't talk about over here, there's a lot more product innovation and a lot more product focus going on ensuring how compliant our systems are, how we done AML, how we do transaction monitoring, how we do that reporting with the government for suspicious activity, how do we bring on new users through various different channels, and how do we make sure that we are bringing them through a fully compliant KYC system. So a lot more work going on over here. It doesn't sound that fun or exciting, but it's super important for us to bring crypto to 1 billion users. So with that, let me just pause here and see Joanne, or if you have any questions for me, or if not, I will hand it back over to Joanne.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Very, very exciting. And I think just so much to ruminate over, but we have to snip away over to the quiz. So really gracious for your time, and we'll dive right in. So really, really insightful, and really looking forward to all of the continued new products and features that are going to be coming up. So let's continue on with programming. The crypto box quiz. So as mentioned, we'll be having a quiz with 5 questions. So make sure you select the right answers to stand a chance to win the prizes. And each question has only 1 correct answer. So just a few rules just to make sure everyone's on the same page. For those of you tuning on YouTube, as I said at the top of the call, please ensure to tune into Binance Live if you want to participate in the live quiz. There's a chance to win $3 in USDT rewards from a total pool of $6,000 in USDT. So in the chat box, you'll see the question, and please type in the number of the question, of the answer that you think is correct. We have a maximum of 2,000 winners. And as I said earlier, 6,000 USDT is up for grabs. The amount will be split equally between the winners, and you need to answer 5 out of 5 questions correctly to qualify. And lastly, time is important, so be fast with casting your answers. All right, so we can kick off. We are ready. Give us just a second as we pull up the questions. I will read the questions. So, what do POW and POS stand for? All right. Second question. Binance was first granted a license in which MENA country? A, Bahrain, B, Egypt, C, United Arab Emirates, D, Jordan. All right, third question. Users can learn more about blockchain through which of the following? A, Binance Academy, B, Binance Research, C, Binance Learn and Earn, or D, all of the above? And then fourth question, under a POW, I'm not going to say what that is because that's question one. Consensus mechanism, a blockchain is secured by which of the following? A, minting, B, mining, C, staking, D, all of the above. All right. And then fifth, a digital currency with its value pegged to an external real world asset is typically referred to as A, cryptocurrency, B, fiat money, C, stable crypto, D, stable coin. You just, as a reminder, please click claim if you've answered 5 out of 5 correct. All right. So that is the end of our programming. So what a day. I really hope you enjoyed the super meetup and the sessions and listening to our speakers as much as I have. Now, a common thread and theme that I hope we all saw together throughout the afternoon was the incredible potential that we all see in MENA and Asia, and how fantastic it is to be able to contribute to be part of this region's journey towards flourishing as a global hub for all things related to blockchain. Working closely with governments and regulatory bodies across the region is really a vital part of our approach to the market, and the collaboration with regulated entities continues to be the cornerstone of our expansion plans on this side of the world. Regulation is going to substantially influence the possibilities for our virtual worlds and their application in the future. And so it's really, really essential for our industry to shape stable, progressive regulatory frameworks to build further trust in our industry and drive long-term growth. Now, as we witness the increasingly forward-thinking perspectives towards the crypto asset industry flourishing in MENA and Asia, product development, continuous innovation, like you heard from Mayor, will all allow us to support the expansion and diversification of these regions' economies and contribute towards the ever-growing status as a virtual asset hub. I'm extremely optimistic of what the future holds, and I look forward to continuing to work in these regions and continue to see development, innovation, and the ecosystem continue to flourish. Now, don't forget to stay tuned for our 14 days of Ramadan campaigns filled with curated activities, special promotions, and lots of community fun. And once again, Ramadan Mubarak to all of you, whether you're starting today or tomorrow. I really wish you a blessed month of reflection, exchange, and kindness. And thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope to see you again very soon into the future. Thank you so much.